Welcome, aspirants. Ever stop to think about why your phone might be designed in California but put together in China? Or why your coffee comes from Colombia and your t-shirt from right here in India? Well, it all comes down to international trade. In this explainer, we are going to break down the entire story of how we think about trade, from old school empires hoarding gold to the super complex global economy we're all a part of today.
All right, let's jump right in. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to build this up step by step, starting with the absolute basics and moving all the way to the advanced models that you'll definitely want to have locked down.
So, first things first, let's tackle that huge question. Why do countries even trade with each other? I mean, what makes it so different from a simple transaction happening, say, between Delhi and Mumbai? Think about it. If you buy something locally, you use rupees, the whole deal is covered by Indian law. It's pretty straightforward. But when India imports electronics from Japan, suddenly you're dealing with rupees and yen, you're navigating international shipping laws, different business cultures, the works. And the real reason for all this hassle? It's simple. No country is an island. We all need stuff that other countries can just make better or cheaper. Okay, now let's hop in a time machine and go way back to the 16th century. Picture a world of giant empires, treasure fleets crossing the oceans, and the name of the game was incredibly simple. Gold. The more you had, the more powerful you were, period. Now, you gotta understand, mercantilism wasn't just some dusty old theory in a book. It was basically a recipe for conflict. It viewed trade as a zero-sum game, meaning for me to win, you have to lose. My gain in gold had to be your loss. And this whole worldview led to crazy high tariffs, constant trade wars, and even colonialism, as nations fought to secure resources and keep that gold flowing in their direction. But then, a completely radical idea came along and just shattered this old way of thinking. What if trade wasn't a fight over one fixed pie? What if it was a way to make the entire pie bigger for everyone? Let's meet the thinkers who kicked off this massive revolution. And here he is, Adam Smith, pretty much the father of modern economics. In his legendary book, The Wealth of Nations, he argued that a country's real wealth isn't its pile of shiny gold. No, it's the productivity of its people. This simple but profound idea led him to his theory of absolute advantage. So what does this actually look like? Let's check out a simple example. You see here, country A is an absolute powerhouse at producing wheat. It only needs 10 workers for a ton. Meanwhile, country B is a master of growing rice, needing just 5 workers. This is what Smith meant by absolute advantage. Each country is just flat out better at making one particular thing. Okay, now get ready for the magic of specialization. Before they trade, the world is producing a total of 39 tons of food. But watch what happens when each country just focuses on what it does best. That number leaps to 60 tons. That is a huge increase in what the world has available, a massive 21-ton bonus, all thanks to trade. That 21-ton gain, that's a key data point for you. It's a powerful, simple way to show how trade creates wealth for everyone. It's not a zero-sum game anymore. It's a true win-win. But Adam Smith's theory had a bit of a hole in it. What if one country was just a superstar? An economic juggernaut that was better at producing, well, everything. Would there be any point in trading then? This was the puzzle that stumped economists, until another brilliant mind came along with an even more powerful idea. And this is where David Ricardo's genius really shines. He introduced this crucial concept of opportunity cost. It's basically what you have to give up to do something. So imagine a top surgeon, who also happens to be the fastest typist in the city. She has an absolute advantage in both surgery and typing. But the opportunity cost of her typing is massive. Every hour she spends at a keyboard is an hour she's not saving lives. So it still makes sense for her to hire a secretary. That's the core of comparative advantage. Now let's see how this plays out with our two countries. In this case, country A is better at producing both wheat and rice. It has an absolute advantage in everything. But look closer. Its advantage is way, way bigger when it comes to rice. This means its opportunity cost of producing rice is lower. So by focusing on rice and trading with country B, which specializes in wheat, both countries end up with more stuff than they started with. It's a win-win, even for the country that seemed less productive. So we get it now, trade happens because of differences in cost. But what causes those cost differences to exist in the first place? That's the much deeper question that the next theory, the Heckscher-Ohlin model, tried to answer. The Heckscher-Ohlin model, or HO model, looks beyond just labor. It considers all of a country's resources, what economists call its factor endowments. We're talking about things like India's huge skilled workforce, or the rich farmland in Brazil, or the high-tech, capital-heavy factories in Germany. These endowments are what give a country its unique edge. Now for your exam prep. Here is a fantastic little mnemonic to remember this. Just think of the letters HO as standing for heaps of. A country will export goods that use its heaps of resources. So India has heaps of labor, so we export labor-intensive things like textiles. Japan has heaps of capital, so it exports capital-intensive things like cars. Simple, right? The HO model was such a breakthrough that it led to a whole family of other theories. Theories that explain the real-world impact of trading on things like your salary, the prices you pay at the store, and even the future of entire industries. We're going to focus on 3 key extensions here. And to help you remember them, just think of the acronym SPR. S is for Stolper-Samuelson, which looks at who wins and who loses from trade. P is for factor price equalization. A bit of a mouthful, but it basically suggests trade can make wages more similar across the globe over time. And R is for Ripshinsky, which is all about what happens when a country gets more of a certain resource. Now, this one is a really powerful tool for understanding the politics of trade. The Stolper-Samuelson theorem says that opening up to trade will help the owners of whatever your country has a lot of, but it'll hurt the owners of whatever is scarce. So in a labor-abundant country like India, this means free trade tends to be good for our massive workforce. It boosts their wages. But it can put a lot of pressure on our domestic industries that rely more on capital. And the Rubjinsky theorem shows us something that's actually kind of surprising about economic growth. So imagine India's skilled workforce gets even bigger. The theory says that our production of labor-intensive goods, like textiles, will boom by an even larger amount. But here's the twist. Production of our capital-intensive goods, like software, might actually go down because all those resources are getting pulled into the booming textile sector. All right, we have covered centuries of economic thought. Now, let's boil it all down into the absolute essential points that you need to have at your command for your exams. This is the slide to screenshot. You need to master these core concepts. Really know the difference between a zero-sum and a positive-sum game. Make sure you can explain opportunity cost and factor endowments in your sleep. And don't forget that key data point, that 21-ton gain from trade. It's a perfect example to use. And to leave you with one final thought, perfect for your analytical answers, these theories we've talked about, they aren't just history. They are lenses that help us understand India's economic present and, more importantly, our future. So think about it. As India continues to develop, as we accumulate more capital and more knowledge, how will our patterns of trade change? Which of these theories is going to become the most important one for us? Keep thinking.